Hattie and I am back with another speed build. So this time we're going to be building a modern home. I have been building quite a few modern homes recently and I understand that, but I think that this one is different and I like the fact that it's very, very tall. I tried to be more diverse with this one. I tried to go out my comfort zone, try new things, and I like it. I didn't like it at first. I thought it looked terrible. And then I think it got to the point where it looked so terrible that it actually started to look good. And then everything just reversed from then on because I'm actually really happy with it. It's a very unusual build. I mean, I've never seen a build like this in my life. I just really haven't. But I just think it's different. It's like a modern townhome by the end, which is really strange considering where I'm building it. I'm actually building it in Granite Falls. So Granite Falls is the place which came with the game pack that we got. So outdoor retreat game pack. It came with that. So it couldn't be more opposite, really, to what it is, but there we go. I thought it was a nice atmosphere to build here, and sometimes I like to mix things up a bit. I could have built it in Newcrest or Willow Creek, but I always build there, so I thought I would come here for a change because it's a really unused world, and I always have wished that we could have actually had our Sims live here. Since it came out, I just thought, you know, it's such a shame because the world is absolutely stunning. In fact, it's probably my favourite world, but it's just such a shame that we can't live here and we just have to compromise and send our Sims on holiday here, which of course is the point. It's supposed to be a pretty place, and it is, but I just wish that we could have houses here. But the name of the house is going to be called Zoe's Modern Home, and it's actually named after one of my supporters, the Great Symphony. She has her own YouTube channel and she makes fantastic speed builds, so I'm going to be leaving her links below if you want to go and see those. But she asked me a while ago if I was ever going to build an industrial styled home, and I wasn't at the time until now, until I changed my mind and I converted to this whole modern style of builds, which I just love. And I thought I'd try it out, and I kept the name in mind and I named it that because I thought it was really fitting, especially as she did say that her favourite style of builds is like an industrial style modern build sort of thing. So I thought that would be a really good challenge. So yeah, I've been keeping that name for a while. I do have a big list of names, but I am just going to keep adding to it. But anyway, this was the top area where I was doing the roofing. It was quite difficult to do, but it did keep extending upwards, and I like that about this build. I don't know, it looks very apartmenty by the end, I think. I think it would be really perfect if we had a Sims 4 expansion pack of a nightlife, something like that. I really wish we had that. In fact, I am hoping for that. I think it would be really good. So this house would definitely fit into a world like that if you did have apartment blocks. Or if you did want to do a let's play with apartment blocks, that would be really interesting actually. That is a really good idea. But yeah, so I think that was what I was trying to do. I was trying to get a really unusual shape, and that was the look I was going for. I thought that if I could make it look really higgledy-piggledy and less like the other one, then I could just about get away with it, and I think I got away with it. I think this one is very diverse compared to the other one. The other one was really a practice. I'm talking about Future Home, by the way. Future Home was a practice, but I think that this one is the one that I found a lot of ideas from. And I really did think about it beforehand. I looked at a lot of pictures and stuff, and when I had in mind what I wanted, I just feel as if I really tried. So I did. I tried hard for this build and I like it by the end. This is when I was adding some of the colours to the walls. I thought I would go with this wooden silvery colour just because it adds so much depth to the build, and I love using the different colours and just experimenting with the different colours that I can use. And I did that throughout this build. In fact, that was one of my main key features that I wrote down. I just said, you know, I want to be able to use maybe a lot of different colours, maybe 4 or 5 different colours. I'd consider that a lot, to be honest. But yeah, I would. And then what I'd do with those is I would try to make them all look different, and it wouldn't just be one colour, it would just be lots of colours which are all in the same colour palette and they match. So I quite like that. I was going around with some of this siding. You'd probably find it on a built-in home, like a caravan home. What do you call them? When you go on holiday, like to the holiday parks and they're there. I've been to one of those and they're really cool actually. In fact, in the German centre parks, that's what they have instead of villas. Well, I say the German Centre Parks, but there are many German Centre Parks. But what I'm talking about is the little homes that are just really cute. They're just small homes, really compact. They are made out of that sort of material. That's what they have on the outside of them. And you see them on caravans, motorhomes, things like that. It's pretty cool. But I like it. I think it went really well with this build. Then what I was doing is I was readjusting this roof here. I wanted to do something very unusual with it, but I thought that it looked really odd when it pointed outwards. I thought it needed to be pointing inwards, so I did correct that. That's what I was doing there. It was actually very difficult to position that, but I think in the end, getting the right position of it was key for this build, because that was one of the main features that was just really unusual. And I was thinking to myself, do I just take it off? Do I leave it on? I don't know. And I think it went really well, so I was happy with that. Then what I was doing is I was trying out the windows. I figured out that what I would do is I would make sure that all the wall levels were tall. So I think every single wall level is tall apart from the top one. So the one just below the roof, that is medium, I think, but I have no idea. And I was just trying. I was trying different things, and I actually like those two windows together. I know they're not perfect, but I hate to say, nothing is perfect in The Sims 4. In terms of matching things, nothing is perfect. Unless it's a matching set, then you can just get away with it. But no, unfortunately, if it's not a matching set, then it wasn't meant to match, and I can't do anything to edit it, unfortunately. But I liked it. I thought it looked good. I liked the big long window there, and I think it will look really interesting when a family is maybe walking up the stairs. I'm going to try to position the stairs maybe behind that window, so it will look really good in terms of a gameplay point of view. I think it will look really nice. And then what I was doing is I was just adding more and more windows. I was adding a lot of windows. I added them all in 3s or 2s just because they just went really well. This was the outdoor hot tub area. I wanted it a little bit shielded, and I also wanted some windows, not windows, but little French shutters, but modern ones, and I couldn't figure out how to do it. And I think that I will pick that back up in the interior decor thing, because I'm going to put some flower pots there, I think. But what I needed to do is I needed to leave it like that, and then I'm going to pick it back up again, which never happens. It seriously never happens, but that's the only thing that I didn't actually do in this build. But I actually think that sometimes I just need more time to think about something, and if you have any ideas with what I can do with that area, just where the hot tub is, then just let me know, because I can see what I can do. Then what I was doing is I was putting some windows just around, just in casual places just around the build. I was also readjusting the roofing, and this was when it was really starting to feel like the home that I love and adore. And I don't say that a lot about my build. In fact, I don't think I've ever said that about a modern build, but I think that this home, I would actually potentially think about living here. I'm not saying that I would, and sometimes I can't openly say that I would live in one of these homes. I don't know. I know that my dad would live here probably because he loves modern architecture. He is really, really obsessed over modern architecture. In fact, when my mum and dad were decorating their new house in Switzerland, what happened was my dad ended up pretty much decorating quite a lot of it. He refurnished quite a few bits of it, and my mum couldn't really do much because we were in England at that point. And what happened was, I remember my mum arriving and she just saw all the modern furniture, and my dad was obsessed. He kept saying, you need to have everything, it needs to be white, it needs to be like sharp edges, straight lines. I don't know what that even means, but that's what he just kept saying. And all the furniture was just very, very white, and it was a futuristic home. But in the end, my mum loved it. So even though it's a very modern interior that they went for, I just think that it's quite nice, because we went from living in a very traditional English country house to then quite a modern build in the end. So I didn't live there for long though, because I moved out with my fiance shortly after we moved to Switzerland. So yeah, that was good. But anyway, what I was doing at this point is I was putting in the trees. I thought because of where it is, Granite Falls, it just has to have some trees there. I think that if I was to move it maybe to Willow Creek, somewhere else, I don't know, then the trees might have to go. At least a few of them anyway. I think that there are probably too many trees here now that I'm looking at it. and they will probably go, or not all of them, maybe I'll keep a couple of them, but I just think there's just too many, and I just had it there just for effect so it wouldn't look too strange being in Granite Falls. Oh my gosh, I keep getting the names mixed up. So then what I was doing is I was doing the garden. The garden was a very unusual garden because I used, what do you call them, windshields. I used those. I was thinking about the windiness. I don't know how windy it would be in Granite Falls, but I was honestly thinking that if there was a pool next to a pond, I don't know for what reason this happens, but there does tend to be a lot of wind near ponds and water. So I thought to myself, why not get some windshields on that? So that's what I ended up doing. I put loads of windshields, these things, what I'm talking about. I got them from the Sims 4 Get Together, and they are a new thing. Well, they came with the Sims 4 Get Together, but they're very modern. They're very modern, futuristic, and I quite like them. I've never used them before, so this is my first time using them, and I think they do look like a windshield and it looks very futuristic. It's just a nice feature for the garden to have because the garden is supposed to be very basic, and I like that. So that is what I did there. I was then just going around and I was just making sure that all the terrain was even. And it was all this colour, so I didn't want any parts of it not being. I thought the front looked so much better being in this terrain. It just looked neater. And the other one I would say would be more for an English cottage home or maybe a Tudor home, I don't know. But I think for this terrain is just perfect for what it is, and it just looks really clean. It looks like it's been freshly done. So I like that. Then what I was doing is I was putting in some places for the family to sit. I wanted to make sure there was lots and lots of seating in this build, especially in the back, because that's where I'd imagine the parties to happen. I'd imagine maybe the family to have lots and lots of parties in the back garden. So I did actually include some electronic items, and I think it looks pretty good in the end. I did want to have some landscaping in, but just not a lot. So it looks as if it's been shaped to look like this, and I like that because it's not too much. And I think that having too much would just completely ruin it, to be honest. It would just turn into Eco Home. Eco Home has a ridiculous amount of landscaping, but it does go with the home, of course. But this one, I didn't want it to have that, so I was really careful with that. I would also imagine that this would sort of be a bit of a spa getaway, so that's why I put 2 massage tables there. I don't know if it would be a couples massage because that's really big at the moment. There are all these vouchers about couple massages in England, so I think it would be quite a big thing to have in a spa getaway, I think. In fact, the place where I'm getting married is a spa getaway, so they do offer things like that, couples massages and things. I don't think that I will go for that, but I think that what I will do, instead of having a hen do, because a lot of people do have a hen do, I'm gonna have a ladies' day, so basically just a day where we go to the spa, stuff like that, and it just sounds so much nicer to me. I don't know, that's just what I fancy, just like a chilled out day doing that sort of stuff. Then what I was doing is I was just putting in the last bits and bobs to the garden in terms of the landscaping. Didn't want to overdo it with those rocks and also the bushes. I thought that the bushes, it went past the point of them being weeds, because if they were a little bit in those rocks, I think they'd look like weeds, but because they were all over those rocks, I think they look like decorations. So that's what I was thinking. I was also putting in some lights. I thought that I would put in a variety of lights around the build, so I put some on the build itself. I wanted to make sure that it looked really bright at night time because I don't want it to look pitch black, because that would just ruin the whole build for me. At the same time, I didn't want to overdo these features. In fact, I wanted to be very careful with the lights that I added because I wanted them to fit in and I didn't want them to look too obvious, because a lot of the lights that we do get with just various things in The Sims 4 can look very, very obvious on a build, and I didn't want that because I like to just kind of keep it a little bit plain in terms of lights, so that's what I did. I was putting some lights around the back and just making sure that I had a really, really large variety, so that was what I did. But that is the end of the build, so I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you all for part 2. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you all soon.